self-study approach to self-discovery and motivational training for professionals. Entrepreneurship is a key factor in the production of goods and services. This presentation focuses on the real estate professionals, reps, and reviews the theoretical, empirical, and the conceptual approaches to determining the significance of entrepreneurship to national economic growth and empowerment, drawing evidence from China, Thailand, Singapore, India, and Korea to support these approaches. It provides a sample of a self-discovery exercise to real estate professionals based on ranking of 12 motivators in order of their importance from 1st to 12th in comparison with standard rankings. It concludes that entrepreneurship is significant to national economic empowerment and development and that reps can add value in their various areas of professional practice and become players in the international real estate markets. The presentation recommends sincere and regular self-discovery based on the Standardist scheme for motivational training exercise, and that governments at all levels synergize efforts towards improving entrepreneurial framework conditions. By increasing access to finance, facilitate entry and exit, and create government support programs. The key words are entrepreneurship, real estate professionals, self-discovery exercise, economic growth, and empowerment. Introduction. Africa's mega-challenges of the 21st century hinge around achieving the UN Millennium Development Goals, MDGs. By 2015, there are 8 MDGs ranging from having absolute poverty and hunger, achieving universal primary education, UPE, environmental protection, water, gender, and partnerships. Africa's mega response to MDGs is mainly via the new Partnership for African Development, NEPAD, particularly its action plan launched in 2003 with the help of UN agencies led by UNESCO and UNICA. On its side, UN's mega response has been to form the UN Cluster for support of the new Partnership for Africa's Development, NEPAD. It backstops NEPAD and conducts related activities covering engineering, education, entrepreneurship, African Green Revolution, biotech, centers of excellences and the brain drain. The bottom line of the Millennium Development Goals, MDGs, is to engender sustainable economic development and people-oriented economic empowerment. Economic development, in its broadest terms, involves improvements in a variety of indicators such as literacy rates, life expectancy, and poverty rates, leisure time, environmental quality, freedom, or social justice, health and education. One of the most common methods of measuring economic growth is by calculating the gross national product of a country. Gross national product, GNP, is the value of goods and services produced by an economy's factors in a given period of time. Example, the value of all goods and services produced by Nigeria's operations throughout the world in a given year. Gross domestic product, GDP, on the other hand, is the value of goods and services produced in an economy in a given period of time. Example, the value of goods and services produced in Nigeria in a given year. When these measures are adjusted for inflation, and correction is made for any changes in the GNP or GDP that are due simply to increases in the price level in the economy. 2. Entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurship is central to the achievement of the MDGs. Most economic, psychological, and sociological research points to the fact that entrepreneurship is a process and not a static phenomenon. Entrepreneurship is more than just a mechanical economic factor. Parrish 2001, 14-15. Entrepreneurship has to do with change and is also commonly associated with choice-related issues. Existing definitions of entrepreneurship often relate to the functional role of entrepreneurs, and include coordination, innovation, uncertainty-bearing, capital supply, decision-making, ownership and resource allocation. Friages et al. 2002, 1-2, Jaski-Lainen 2000, 5. Indeed, 3 of the most frequently mentioned functional roles of entrepreneurs are associated with major schools of thought on entrepreneurship. Risk-seeking. The entrepreneur is willing to take the calculated risk associated with uncertainty. Innovativeness. The entrepreneur accelerates the generation, dissemination, and application of innovative ideas. Opportunity seeking. The entrepreneur perceives and seizes new profit opportunities. OECD 1998, 11, Carey and Thurick 2002, 8. One operational definition of entrepreneurship that successfully synthesizes the functional roles of entrepreneurs is that of Wenekers and Thurick, 1999, the manifest ability and willingness of individuals, on their own, in teams within and outside existing organizations, to perceive and create new economic opportunities, new products, new production methods, new organizational schemes and new product market combinations, and to introduce their ideas in the market, in the face of uncertainty and other obstacles. By making decisions on location, form, and the use of resources and institutions. 46-47. Entrepreneurship is, hence, essentially a behavioral characteristic of a person. Entrepreneurs may exhibit it only during a certain phase of their career or only with regard to self-study approach to self-discovery and motivational training for real estate professionals. 2. The importance of entrepreneurship. The essence of entrepreneurship is to add value to existing enterprises and create new job opportunities for economic empowerment at the micro level. The philosophy is that entrepreneurship will enhance poverty alleviation and ultimately engender economic development at both micro and macro levels. The role of entrepreneurship and an entrepreneurial culture in economic and social development has often been underestimated. Over the years, however, it has become increasingly apparent that entrepreneurship does indeed contribute to economic development. Transforming ideas into economic opportunities is the crux of entrepreneurship. History has encouraged us to know that economic progress has been significantly advanced by pragmatic people who are entrepreneurial and innovative, able to exploit opportunities and willing to take risks. Entrepreneurs produce solutions that fly in the face of established knowledge, and they always challenge the status quo. They are risk-takers who pursue opportunities that others may fail to recognize or may even view as problems or threats. Whatever definition that is given to entrepreneurship, it is closely associated with change, creativity, knowledge, innovation, and flexibility factors that are increasingly important sources of competitiveness in an increasingly globalized world economy. Thus, fostering entrepreneurship means promoting the competitiveness of businesses. Entrepreneurship and enterprise development, private sector development and entrepreneurship development are essential ingredients for achieving the Millennium Development Goal of reducing extreme poverty. While sound macroeconomic policies and providing market access are crucial, emerging markets need to nurture and develop entrepreneurs able to take advantage of opportunities created by globalization. For many developing countries, private sector development has been a powerful engine of economic growth and wealth creation, and crucial for improving the quality, number, and variety of employment opportunities for the poor. Economically, entrepreneurship invigorates markets. The formation of new business leads to job creation and has a multiplying effect on the economy. Socially, entrepreneurship empowers citizens, generates innovation, and changes mindsets. These changes have the potential to integrate developing countries into the global economy. Consequently, the development of entrepreneurship and the upgrading of productive capacities are essential to ushering developing countries into the global trading system. Coordinated efforts at the international, national, and micro level to support entrepreneurship development will be important in this regard. Aim, objectives, and significance of the presentation. The aim of this presentation is to establish linkages between entrepreneurship and economic empowerment at theoretical, conceptual, empirical, and real estate professional practice levels. It will help reps realize their entrepreneurship potentials and expose them to innovative professionalism. Each professional is encouraged to measure his preparedness using the self-motivating scale provided in this study. Linking entrepreneurship to economic growth and empowerment. The relationship between entrepreneurial activity and development is not a simple one. For example, if we were to relate entrepreneurial activity to some measure of development, like income or GDP per capita, the results across Asia would be negative. The two most developed Asian countries with the highest incomes and greatest GDP per capita, i.e. Japan and Singapore, have comparatively low level of entrepreneurial activity. Conversely, the Asian countries with the highest levels of entrepreneurial activity, i.e., India, Thailand, and China, have low incomes and GDP per capita. What this trend suggests is that the effect of entrepreneurial activity on the pace of economic development should be measured with sufficient longitudinal data. The ongoing Global Entrepreneurship Monitor (GEM) study seeks to build such a longitudinal database on entrepreneurial activity and economic development. Additional measures to GDP, such as population and demographic index, poverty rates, and more. Targeted regional measures would be useful to see the national effects as well as the impact on groups such as those least well off. 3. The theoretical approach. The entrepreneur has been a fundamental agent in most production, distribution, and growth theories. The role of entrepreneurship as the driving force of economic growth found its most explicit foundation in Joseph Schumpeter's theory of long waves. According to Schumpeter, everyone is an entrepreneur when he actually carries out new combinations. Finding new combinations of factors of production is a process of entrepreneurial discovery that will become the engine that drives economic development. These new combinations constitute better ways to meet existing demand or create new products, often making current technologies and products obsolete, in a process of creative destruction. The firm of the innovative entrepreneur will, consequently, grow through the dual process of taking market share from existing suppliers and increasing overall demand for the products offered in the market, by extending the boundaries of economic activity. Business cycles are seen as the result of innovation, which consists of the generation of a new idea and its implementation in a new product, process, or service, leading to the dynamic growth of the national economy, the increase of employment, and creation of pure profit for the innovative enterprise. Schumpeter 1911, 78, Schumpeter 1942, 83-84, Desjardins 2000, 2, Jaski-Lainen 2000, 9-10, 15, Thurek and Wenekers 2001, 2, Barreto 1989, 22-34. While developing economies grow as standard economic growth models predict, through the accumulation of human and physical capital and increasing specialization, once an economy has entered the industrialized phase of capitalist development, a qualitative change in the drivers of economic growth occurs. In advanced industrial economies, growth is driven by the process of technological advance. 3. Schmitz, 1989, presented a model in which entrepreneurial activity is a key determinant of productivity growth. He emphasized that by putting scanned opportunities into practice, knowledge is created through a process that Schmitz characterizes as learning by doing. The empirical approach There are various strands in the empirical literature on entrepreneurship and economic growth using different measures of entrepreneurial activity. For instance, while one strand of empirical studies measures entrepreneurship in terms of the relative share of economic activity accounted for by small firms, other studies use data on self-employment, the number of market participants, competition, or firm start UPS as an indicator of entrepreneurial activities. Carey and Thurick 2002, 16, OECD 1998:11, 12. Together with recent studies on OECD countries, 3 of the analyses of the Global Entrepreneurship Monitor, GEM, represent one of the most important sources for statistical analysis of the links between entrepreneurial activity and economic growth. The GEM is a research program launched in 1999 that provides annual assessments of the national level of entrepreneurship. GEM analyses are based on a harmonized assessment of the level of national entrepreneurial activity for all participating countries and represent one of the rare sources of data on entrepreneurship conducive to cross-country comparison. The GEM measures national entrepreneurial activity as the share of people among a country's labor force who are either actively involved in starting a new venture or manage a business less than 42 months old. In its latest report, 2002, the GEM shows that the national level of entrepreneurial activity has a statistically significant association with subsequent levels of economic growth. GEM data also suggests that there are no countries with high levels of entrepreneurship and low levels of economic growth. Reynolds et al. 2002, 7, 24. Until now, the GEM data have had to be viewed with caution. It can, however, be assumed that an analysis of more countries over a longer period of time will accumulate evidence of a positive link between high rates of entrepreneurship and economic growth. This assumption is supported by a variety of other empirical studies using different indicators of entrepreneurial activity. Nickel, 1996, and Nikolaitzes and Dryden, 1997, examined, for instance, the effect of market competition, measured as an increase in the number of competitors in relation to the development of companies' productivity. Performance. An increase in the number of competitors is a possible measure of entrepreneurship, since the introduction of a new product or the start-up of a new firm is an entrepreneurial act. Using data from around 600 UK manufacturing firms from the periods 1972 to 86 and 1982 to 94, the authors found evidence that competition, or an increase in the number of competitors, has a positive impact on total factor productivity growth. Nickel 1996, 741. Nickel, Nikolaitzes and Dryden 1997. Carey and Thurick, 1998, who examine how the share of small firms affects subsequent industry output growth. have likewise established positive effects between this measure of entrepreneurship and growth. Basing their study on a sample of 14 manufacturing industries in 13 European countries, the authors investigated whether or not a higher share of small business at the beginning of the 1990s led to higher output growth in subsequent years in European manufacturing. The results of their study indicate that industries with a high share of small enterprises relative to the same industries in other countries performed better in terms of output growth during the subsequent 3 to 4 years. Carey and Thurek 1998. 144. This evidence suggests an increase in the importance of entrepreneurship as a feature of the economy, often referred to as the transformation from a managed to an entrepreneurial economy. Thurek and Weniker's 2001, 3. Friages et al. 2002, 11. The growing number of SMEs and increasing outsourcing by large firms are a reaction to greater dependence on flexibility and knowledge as factors of production brought about by technological change and the intensification of global competition. Smaller business entities appear to be better suited to cope with the conditions of increased globalization, since they show higher flexibility and propensity to innovation and are an outstanding vehicle for channeling the entrepreneurial ambitions of individuals. Auditrich and Thurek 2001, 6-11, Carey and Thurek 2002, 7-8. In addition, the outsourcing strategies of large established firms go hand in hand with a new emphasis on entrepreneurship, entrepreneurial behavior within an existing company, which is considered essential to competitive success. OECD 1998, 35. The increasing importance of entrepreneurship as a result of these developments is best expressed in the words of Michael Porter: invention and entrepreneurship are at the heart of national advantage. Porter 1990, 125. Conceptual frameworks to link entrepreneurship to economic growth. Recently, two established models have succeeded in not restricting explanations for economic growth to the realm of macroeconomics. The related framework models are proposed by Weniker and Thurek, 1999, and the GEM Research Program. I shall discuss only the former model. Weniker and Thurek, 1999, established the following model, relating entrepreneurial activity to economic growth. See Figure 1. Figure 1. The model distinguishes between three levels of analysis: the individual level, the firm level, and the macro level. Entrepreneurial activity originates at the individual level and is always traceable to a single person, the entrepreneur. Entrepreneurship is, hence, induced by an individual's attitudes or motives, skills, and psychological endowments. Yet the individual entrepreneur is not undertaking entrepreneurial activities in a timeless and spaceless vacuum, but is affected by the context in which he or she is acting. Therefore, Entrepreneurial motives and actions are influenced by cultural and institutional factors, the business self-study approach to self-discovery and motivational training for real estate professionals. While entrepreneurship originates at the individual level, realization is achieved at the firm level.